All right, we're here as the Lost Rider podcast. Good morning and welcome to the second half of this week's news from the camp house. We're over here. We're down in Corpus. We're at the Port Authority. We're with Mr. Kent Britton. All right, now we've been talking a little bit about this port. How many ships come in and out of here?
So we get about 2,500 ships per year, and then we get another 6,000 or so barges that come in and out. The interesting thing is we've tripled our volumes here in the last 10 years, and we're still using roughly the same amount of ships. We just went through a project to deepen the ship channel to 54 feet. We have the deepest ship channel on the Gulf Coast. Saves our customers about $250 million a year in transportation costs by being able to use bigger ships. And it keeps our waterway uncongested because we are actually now able to move more product with fewer ships by getting those bigger ships in here.
Okay. All right. Now, let's get around to how come I drove down here. The Port Authority has been for quite a while trying to put in a seawater desalination plant, and it would be on Harbor Island at Port Aransas. And I think y'all have been trying to do this for quite a while, and it kept running into roadblocks. But I believe you finally got the plans down where everybody kind of agrees to them, and it looks like this thing's going to work.
Yeah, so just to set the backdrop for this region a little bit, the lakes down here are about 11.5% of their capacity right now. We're in a 3-year drought. And when you look at both existing business and new business that wants to come down here, they need a few things. They need land to locate on. They need workers to work whatever their production process is. They need energy, and they need water. And so without water, not only are we not going to sustain the significant amount of industry we have here, and we've had about $65 billion of private investment in this region in the last 10 years, we're not going to be able to attract new investment. And so the port recognized that. And so on behalf of kind of that new customer base, the folks we want to attract to the region who bring good jobs, I'm talking $80,000 to $100,000 a year type jobs, we knew we needed water. And so the city, who is the water provider for the region, has been working on plans themselves, but we had also been working on developing a plan. We kind of reined that in a couple of years ago, came to an agreement, I guess, with the city that, listen, they're the water provider for the region. But we have what we think is a prime location because of the ability to take the intake water out of the Gulf of America and also put the discharge back in the Gulf, sitting out on Harbor Island by Port Aransas. And so you can run a pipeline 4 miles and be out into 37, 38 feet of water out there, which is a great place to disperse the brine that's going to be the byproduct of this desal production process. We're getting the permits for those, which are Corps of Engineers and TCEQ permits, but we leased that property to the Nueces River Authority, right, who is also another state agency. And they'll be the ones who will potentially be developing a plant there. And just this week, the city council here in Corpus voted to pay a reservation fee to the NRA to hold kind of a reserve 50 million gallons a day worth of water off that plant. So we think this is a plant that could benefit not just this region, but also all of South Texas.
Right. And that's, for my listeners' sake, Corpus buys water from all over the place. And if my listeners remember, the Garwood Lair water rights from the Colorado River were bought by the Lower Colorado River Authority. That takes water from the Colorado River, takes it over to Lake Texana. Corpus gets that water from Lake Texana. Some of that water could eventually wind up in Kingsville. I only became aware of this recently while I was down there interviewing the South Texas Water Authority. And that's how much this water gets moved around. And having this would be the largest seawater desal plant in the United States, right?
It would. So right now we're getting permits for 100 million gallons a day. I think the Nueces River Authority thinks there's demand over time. So think next 50 years for maybe up to 300 or 400 million gallons a day off that property. Wow. The nice thing about being close to the Gulf and being able to take your intake and discharge out of the Gulf is you truly have almost an unlimited supply of water out there, as opposed to taking it off a bay or a river or some smaller body of water. Yeah, right now the city of Corpus Christi runs anywhere between 110 and 130 million gallons a day of consumption, and they get that from two lakes on the western side of Corpus, an hour and a half from here. Those are the ones that are 11.5%, but they're getting the majority of it right now down something called the Mary Roads Pipeline, which is coming from Lake Texana.
Right. Okay. All right. Now, one of the things we want to dispel any concerns about, well, I'm assuming this is natural gas is the energy used for this desal plant, correct?
So right now they're planning to take power off the grid. So it'll be a mix of a little bit of coal that Texas has left, renewable energy, and natural gas.
Okay. So it comes from the existing grid?
It will come from the existing grid.
And there's enough room for that?
I believe so. So for 100 million gallons a day, you're talking 50 to 60 megawatts. It's not a huge amount. For example, I worked in an alumina refinery here in Corpus Christi before I came over here to the port, and we consumed 400 megawatts.
Oh.
So it's not insignificant, but no, the AEP will run wires out there, and it's going to take several years to get the power out there, because you got to put a substation in that survives salt corrosion and just the rough environment we operate in down here, and that's probably going to take 3 to 4 years. And so that's kind of going to be about the timeline of the plant. Let's call it 3 to 4 years. I think they're planning to produce. They told the city this week they're planning to do first water production in December of 2029.
Okay, if we're making more water, don't we have to make more electricity if we're looking to have more people?
We do, and I think so. We're solving a water problem down here. State of Texas needs to continue to solve an energy problem, and it needs to be easier, and that's a PUC and ERCOT issue that we won't play in, although we advocate for it. But these folks need to be able to string wires and build energy capacity even before it's needed. Right now, we kind of have rules that limit you to only doing that when customers show up. And so it becomes a limiting factor. We need to have a little excess capacity.
Okay. All right. Now, just to dispel any concerns about the discharge, this is old technology. This is stuff that's been done. I've told my listeners a story about the strategic oil reserves how many times. They know that in the 1980s, this was the same school of thought, discharge in deep water. It's been done. It gets diffused. It's not just an open-ended pipe just shooting out in there. It's diffused, and over a period of several miles, it's diffused, and it just disseminates right back into seawater.
That's correct. And so the U.S. has been blessed with abundant resources of all types, right? And so we've never really had to focus on desal. There's really only 2 large-scale desal plants, one in Florida and one in California. But if you go to everywhere else in the world where they don't have the abundant water resources that we have, they make water. Desal technology is not new. It is in operation in thousands of instances around the world. And there's a great book out there called Let There Be Water, which is about the Israelis' move toward desal back in the 60s, because they were basically out of water and they live in a desert. And now they've got 8 big desal plants that sit on the coast. They've got a network of piping that runs all over their country and other parts of the Middle East. And they make water, and that's not uncommon at all in other parts of the world. All your Caribbean nations all get their water from desal plants. This is not something that folks should be worried about. No. As long it can be done in an environmentally responsible manner.
And that's the deal. It can be done. It has been done. It's been done in the past, and it can be done. We all agree that there should be some oversight, and we want to make sure that people you tell them over and over again, this is working, it's working good, and show them it's working good.
That's right. And that's what we want to do. We have a environmental department here at the port. We won't be responsible for this project. NRA will, But Texas Commission on Environmental Quality is going to have oversight over those kind of things. They'll issue a permit. Those permits hopefully will be available in draft form before the end of the year and then finalized next year. We would not be doing this unless we honestly believe that it could be done in a sustainable manner.
All right. Okay. Now, along with that, if this thing is going to produce 100 million gallons, and then you're looking forward to 200 or 300 million gallons a day, and if South Texas is looking at desalinating some of these brackish aquifers, it's going to take a lot of the pressure. It looks like Texas eventually would have a nice amount of water. What you're ultimately doing is you're allowing some of the fresh water to get back to the bays and estuaries kind of in a natural flow.
We absolutely hope that is a result of taking some of the pressure off of the natural resources, which are clearly not recharging at the pace that they did previously. And so there's got to be concern there. There will be concern around taking groundwater as well. I think it's a combination of kind of all of the above that are going to have to be employed here. The one thing I will say is desalinated water is expensive. And so, we're going to have to be prepared, and we're going to have to factor that into our cost models. It can't be your only source of water.
Right. Well, the folks in Kingsville said that it would be cheaper than buying it from Corpus.
I'll leave that for your Kingsville Corpus story.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's exactly what they said. They said, no, we can desalinate it. It'd be cheaper than having to buy it from Corpus. And but one of the things we need to really promote and advocate is for people to not have fear over these various forms of discharge. Sooner or later, we're going to be having to process that water and use it again.
Absolutely. And, one of the big things the state's trying to solve is how to use produced water out of oil and gas production.
Right.
If you can figure that out, because you get multiples of the number of barrels of oil you get in produced water. And right now there's no way to use that. They just inject that back into the ground. That's just lost water. If we can figure that out in kind of northwest Texas, boy, that'll be a game changer.
Right. I believe they've got it. I believe they've got it. It's just a matter of people not being afraid.
We're not afraid down here.
Right.
But we listen, we recognize the city as the water provider has got a big task ahead of them. And they've come up with a lot of different solutions to solve this problem in kind of the short, medium, and long term. The desal is kind of the long term, right? Because it's 3 to 4 years to build those plants. We'll find other ways, but we're moving forward. We want to continue industrial growth down here and residential growth.
Right. All right. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Boy, I really appreciate you coming down and talking to me.
All right, folks. I hope you got something out of it this morning. Hope you learned a little something again. We're going to keep pushing this point that, technology is going to take care of us in the future. We just have to trust it a little bit and keep some oversight. So, hope everybody enjoyed it this morning, this weekend's edition News from the Camp House. You can also find this on the LostRiderPodcast.com. And this weekend's edition is also brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. Now, y'all go out, have fun, be safe, have a good time this weekend, and y'all just remember, pretty much any day is sure a good day to be out in the woods.